right on in. OrgLess will be banning first. They will be defending, and FaZe second as they start on attack. Right off the bat, Lion gone. And, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised at all.
Yeah, it's like, usually OrgLess bans Lion, well, statistically, or in some map stats, sure, but most of the cases Lion. Glass from FaZe is their like most banned operator from the attacking side. It has been banned for them 4 out of 7 times in the Pro League, so the most banned for them in the attack.
So, completely logical ban so far. Mute going to be the next one. If I'm just looking at this from an outside perspective, I'm thinking, okay, Mute's being banned because we're dealing with Villa, and Villa is a map that if you have a Mute on, you can potentially deny a lot of information because the defaults have not yet been defined. Mira also being banned out, that's going to make it so certain sites are just a little bit more difficult to hold. Aviation, for example, if you're not able to deny study outright from a mirror window, it can be difficult. However, there are ways around that. You know, C4 from below, fully reinforcing the walls isn't a bad idea either. And we'll see how the setup comes, though.
I think Rilla, from the defensive side, is all about that impact trick. There's so many walls you can use.
Oh, yeah.
You shoot the top floor of the reinforcements off, and then you just deny the termites or the Hibanas, so it's all going to come up to how well OrgLess is going to do that, and same thing for FaZe once they get to the defensive side.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Interesting, you know, the interesting thing about the impact trick is that it's just better objectively if you're able to accomplish it than bandit tricking.
You don't want a bandit trick anymore if you can impact trick, because when you bandit trick, you can be killed from below with a grenade or through a grenade above the reinforcement, but when you just impact trick, you can stay for like 3 meters away from the wall and just
impact, and it's instant. You know, there is no deploy phase, and on top of that, you can. It's pretty much. There's nothing the attackers can really do to stop it. There is no Jaeger on attack, so it's a pretty useful piece of utility, and I'm sure we'll see it brought out quite a lot here in this match, especially as you say, considering we're on Villa, which is a map that so heavily favors that. So starting things off, we've got a Maestro since he was left unbanned, and he is also very powerful on this Italian map. He has a lot of positions. You can put those cameras that they can influence whole hallways or deny plants outright. And like on this site, for example, if you put a Maestro Evil Eye inside of the B site, then you're more able to, or able to more freely anchor from that A site. It gives you a little bit more, you know, indirect denial.
Yeah, and also like we saw in there, he put the Maestro cam on top of the hatch. So once you put the Evil Eye onto the hatch, you shoot the hatch off, so the enemy team actually needs to have either Ash, Sophia, or Cook Grenade to take out the Evil Eye. So that's just a small trick you can use with the Evil Eyes, especially on Willa. There's 3 locations you can do that.
Yeah, just a little bit of more information. Why not, right?
Yeah.
So, OrgLess have set themselves up fairly well. They have, interestingly, a lot of barbed wire inside of L, but nobody actually playing it. They also have a lot of information being gathered on L, but again, nobody playing it. So I'm wondering what the mentality is there. Are they just going for a potential retake onto L in the late? Are they relying on these roamers downstairs, possibly, to be the ones to start that late push? What's the plan? And speaking of, I mean, just the coordination going on here with the KS and Aces duo roam. Kind of a little bit odd.
Yeah, it's really hard to hold the aviator room and the study if you don't have the roamers, because usually people come from the downstairs, they use the buck to shoot the floors, so you need to have some people to contest it.
Ace is going to use his C4 to rotate behind his opponent. Astro will get KS thanks to the drone that had been calling out these OrgLess roamers for so long, but Ace is able to respond. The buck in the hallway, though, forces Aces to reposition. He's going to start falling his way back into actually just the main hallway. He's going to want to contest this directly. This is interesting. You would have expected him to maybe try and go back to the astronomy stairs and coming up from behind later above, but no, he wants to confront them head on.
Here we have Twitch drone doing some work in the side, taking out those illusion traps before the late push. You don't want to be stepping on those when you push to the side.
So FaZe has thus far been very focused on that bottom floor. Do you think they spent a little bit too much time on it?
Yeah, they wanted to take the top, bottom floor control, but they couldn't do it. So now they're rotating to the just push to the side, and they have one guy just holding the box still below, throwing some grenades, making some holes. But they really need to start the push to the side.
And it looks like that's their plan now, with only 35 seconds left. You can see Vale is going to be downed by Gohan, so it's a good start for FaZe on this final push. Ace is on the corner of L, though. Perfect location and perfect shot to follow it up. 2 eliminated thanks to Ace's excellent play. Mav, though, the next one to challenge, and only 20 seconds as Moringa starts pushing his way into the B site. He's going to have to deal with Rips eventually. Ace is from behind, actually. As Rips gets Moringa, will get the final kill onto Mav, and OrgLess will take the first round quite decisively.
Really nicely played from OrgLess. They hold their ground on the side, and Aces was allowed to roam freely. First on the downstairs, and then he rotated from the main stairs back to upstairs to the classical hallway. Got the 2 kills from there, and then the last kill to the A-bomb side through the doorway. So really nicely played from Aces, and he's proving to be in the fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who is the best Aces of the tournament?
There's only 2. I mean, to be fair, it really did trip me up for a second there. And then I started looking at the rest of the roster. I'm like, that's not OrgLess. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. OrgLess moved over a lot of players. So it's been a bit of a transition for them. But they have actually noticeably been not that poor off from after moving those players around.
Yeah, it was like Aces was their best player already, so he's really carrying them with the plus 21 on the plus-minus side of kills and deaths. So he was the carry player for the team already. So now they're only
See, are they going to be able to perform up to expectations?
Yeah.
So, second site for OrgLess, and they're going to be going over to the trophy, which is pretty, I want to say typical for Villa, but it's it's not really a typical map. You don't see Villa played very often, so the typical has yet to be defined.
Yeah.
However, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of teams are practicing Villa at the moment, at least in EU, like constantly. So I would say the most played sites at the moment are the Astronomy, and then the Trophy Room, plus then the Aviator that we saw before, and then the reserve site that's been playing is the Kitchen.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been pretty much the same way. I think in ranked even, Villa people are still, you know, when you got a brand new map, the people who are grasping it, trying to find out where the best sites are to hold or the best sites are to even attack, everyone starts grasping at the same things first usually, and we'll have things like customs on border evolve later in the game as the map develops.
Yeah. And also, like, before teams attack them, study a lot from Astronomy study, a lot from the master bedroom, but then the impact trick was evolved. And now it's really hard to come from the master side because you cannot really termite that wall anymore. So people have switched to push from the Aviator side, take first the map control from the south all the way up to the trophy and statue doors, and after that push from the master. But let's see what FaZe is going to do.
Yeah, it looks like they're actually going to be going for that master take. Now, I agree with you. I think pushing from the south is probably the most sensible right now, especially considering, yeah, the thing about pushing in masters is just you're bottlenecking yourself. If, as you say, if you're unable to open up that wall, and because of the impacts, you are unable to open up that wall, you're then pushing through 2 doorways, 2 single doorways, not double. So it's not an easy thing to make work in your favor as an attacking squad. It's one of those bottleneck strategies that we see be so common, but it's possible. It could still work out for you. We'll find out as FaZe come down to their last minute. They still are stacking up on that master, but they also have players in other positions such as Astro, so there could be some mix-up.
And we see Gohan actually moving to the trophy room window, where he will be providing some flank fire probably in the late round during the push, while the other team sets up on the master bedroom / toilet area to push to the Astronomy and the mastery. I would say the Astronomy is the key factor in this attack, because once you set up and take control over the Astronomy, you pretty much still have the control over the whole both sides.
So, Aces from below does have a C4, though there is no Valkyrie, so likely not a lot of information going to be called out for him to use that C4 from below. KS on the Astronomy stairs, going to be getting that phone call. Moringa will eliminate Veil. After that, going to have to pull out the Legion traps. Legion doing a lot of work even in post-mortem thanks to those traps. 13 seconds left. The attackers are pressured for time. Rips gets cameraman, Astro responds onto Corey, and it's just back and forth here. Gohan, though, with the knife on KS. Aces from the hallway will get Astro. Gohan a second one for himself, but Aces shuts him down. 0 on the clock, but the diffuser has been planted. The pistol from Aces! What is happening? OrgLess against all odds will clutch it out thanks to the Bandit by himself. And 2 in a row for the Europeans.
All about Aces again, 2 rounds in a row. He's the man on the building at the moment, and he's stepping up so hard for his team.
That wasn't supposed to happen. That was through and through a FaZe round, and then suddenly Aces.
Yeah, it's even more weird because OrgLess is not a clutch team most of the time. Usually it's team effort.
Yeah.
All about team effort. As you can see on the 1vx stats, they don't clutch. They win as a team, and now Aces is pulling it off all the time.
Incredibly impressive for him, and he's going to be padding those stats, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, going on to the dining room kitchen, as you said, the typical third site for this relatively new map, and because OrgLess have won both of their defenses, they now have to go to that third site. But I don't think you can rely on Aces clutching every single round.
No, it's it can't happen every round.
Mm-hmm.
For this side, the key points is the top floor control as long as possible. You don't need to die there, but you need to hold it and burn as much time as you can. And after that, you can jump down to the downstairs from the skylight. And the attackers usually, finally, when they have the top floor control, they will do the final push from the washing room, which is right next to the A-bomb site. So it's all about holding the top floor as long as possible. So the fights are probably going to be at the same locations as last round, around the master bedroom, statue, astronomy, and also the trophy room.
All right. So, you could see that OrgLess is playing into that exact mentality. They have their castle barricades and reinforcements going upstairs, and it's going to be, as you said, a staggered hold. Defend from the top, then fall back when necessary, but hold as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, this map gives the possibility for the defenders to burn time, a lot of time, because there's the skylight that Aces is just looking down. You can just vault over that half wall, and you're right there at the side pretty much. So you have the option to fall back easily at any point during the round.
That's another thing. When the attackers choose to forego taking the top floor and there are roamers upstairs, not only can the roamers, fall back to site when they need to, but they can use that vault to, at any moment, just pounce on the attackers from above and get some pretty easy kills on any attackers trying to utilize the hallway.
And also in the left side of the screen, you can see that the wall has been turned out, so they have vision all the way to the hallway downstairs. So if attackers want to come lurking around that hallway, the top floor people are just going to shoot them down.
Looks like FaZe is uncertain where they want to push in from. They are stacking themselves up on that master balcony. Now, would you say it's better to come from the master balcony, or would you say similar to the top floor hold, it'd be superior to come just clear all the way from the other side of the building instead of coming in through master?
I would say it depends on what you see in the droning phase. Like, if you see this, what OrgLess has done, that there's a lot of holes on the floors, waiting to be tossed out, those C4s, or shoot the guys entering the master bedroom. You want to come from the other side of the building. Take it from the south to the north, and then clear the rooms, master bedroom, trophy, and statue. But if there aren't those holes, you can come straight from the master and fight your way in.
Now, despite the holes, Mav has managed to make his way in, and he has gotten KS. The Jaeger quickly dispatched on the top of those astronomy stairs. KS has been playing the same position most of these rounds on this defense, but he hasn't been able to make it work out for him yet. Rips being lit up, and he will not take enough damage to down him, but still some health that he didn't need to lose necessarily. You can see there's a lot of horizontal play actually coming from FaZe. They're just pushing their way in through the external doorway, the side entrance. and looking for an opportunity to apply pressure to the anchors that way. Aces yet again on the roam.
Yeah, there's the classical whole room from Aces. He's putting the pressure to the guys that they need to watch out that there's... And there goes Rips by Buck. Cameraman taking out Rips, really nicely played. And now the Doc Kaibi calls coming. This should be to push because there's only 2 guys at the side and FaZe has 5 people. Aces is off the board at the moment.
Now Aces is still with us. There's 20 seconds left, and this is the big formula that OrgLess has been relying on throughout the entire match. So little time and still so much fragging potential on the defense. Can FaZe make it work? Aces gets his first in the round. Mav taken down. Gohan responds onto Corey. Aces with a second onto Astro. He's going on fire again. And FaZe cannot stop it. 0 seconds on the clock, but the diffuser is being planted. Gohan finishes off Veil, so it's going to have to be an Aces ace in order for this clutch to happen and a diffuse disable to boot. It doesn't look very likely, but he's going to start looking for as many fights as he can get. The pre-fires will give away his position, rendering this a lot more difficult, and Gohan will shut him down. It's not going to be another FaZe throw. Ace is not given an inch, and he could not take a mile, so first round for FaZe.
Finally, earned round for FaZe. If they would have lost that, it would have been pretty bad for them, because they already lost the last round that they shouldn't have lost. It was their round to take, but the Aces, this time, they finally shut him down, didn't give him the kills. But when they did the push, I think they were a bit too slow, because once you keep that Doc Kaibi call in, you want to push. You know the Aces at the aviator room or the weapon room, so one guy's off the board at the moment for at least 10 seconds, so you have that 10 seconds to play and push with 5 versus 2. You have the numbers to take the fight.
It also did look like the big thing was that Aces didn't have any support. I mean, you say, okay, I say that he didn't have any support from his team, and that's not what I mean. I mean, the way that Aces has been clutching a lot of these rounds is the rest of FaZe is so focused on killing his teammates that when he swoops in from the side, it's just a shooting gallery. And the first couple people who notice him are dispatched just like that, because he's hyper-focused on taking them down, and they are just addressing him as he appears. But that time, because of that stall out between Aces getting the first 2 kills in the hallway and his potential to get the clutch on the last 3, they finally realized, oh, hey, okay, we need to dial it back.
Yeah.
And we need to wait for Aces to come to us, because ultimately that's what's going to happen in post-plant.
Yeah. And also FaZe is giving him the chances to do that, because if you play someone like Vitality, they are always holding their flanks. So Aces couldn't be doing that, but FaZe is allowing him to do that roam time and time again.
So, OrgLess, now after going to their third site, will be able to go back to Aviation, and this is the site they were victorious on. However, again, it came a lot down to one individual player, who we've mentioned quite a few times. Impact grenades are a thing here to stop thermites or Habanas from opening up the wall from study. As you mentioned, a very important piece of utility to use here, and OrgLess have brought them accordingly. FaZe only have a Habana. So cool thing about Habana is you can, I believe, avoid those impacts if you place them properly.
Yes, you need to first shoot the bottom floor of the wall out, and then do the second part and third part if you want to, but start from the bottom and work your way upwards, and you can avoid those impacts. But at the same time, Thermite actually works, because if you go next to the wall and you don't put the charge to the wall, but to the floor, you can destroy the bottom half of the wall and open up the wall. But if you start from the wall, you can get impacted. So you can see some teams actually destroy the floor next to the wall so that you cannot place the thermite charge there and deny the thermite play.
You're also not going to get much of the wall open if you do a thermite on. I mean, you're going to get enough of it, but it's going to be kind of an awkward, I imagine, push when you're going for that actual take.
You need to prone, and it's more just a line of sight.
I mean, all of it's going to be awkward no matter what, and that's the trick of the beauty of the impact trick, denying that that pressure. You can see that OrgLess is trying to bandit trick this wall, and Cameraman is trying to say no to that. He will eat a couple bullets, but he responds in kind onto Veil and does some damage. So a bit of an even exchange here halfway through the round, but Cameraman is doing his job well of denying the bandit tricking. However, hopefully for OrgLess' sake, they have someone ready to use those impacts. Veil will get Cameraman because Camera stands still for way too long, trying to play the same position.
He tried to hit that ball battery for a long period of time, but
yeah,
he just couldn't hit it. And Map takes out Chaos with a nice headshot.
So, FaZe is responding. Gohan, yet again, the one to stand out for his team, and Corey goes down. The rest of OrgLess, though, still very much alive. Ace is still in play, so something you have to pay attention to.
Again, on the classical hallway, where he can blank either of the sides.
And he is waiting for pressure onto this hallway right in front of him. He will get Gohan. This is a similar situation to what we've seen in the past. In fact, on the very first round, where Aces was playing the same spot. Leaving just Mav and Moringa now, the last two attackers. Mav going to get hit by a Legion Trap. Time is starting to tick down. FaZe has probably had the most efficient round of this map so far, but still not as efficient as you would want it to be. Moringa getting hit by the Evil Eye as he gets on the camera. That's why you have advanced drone placement. And he will eat half, if not more, of his HP in damage. Mav gets aces, so good job there, watching for the flank. Moringa peeking in, will try to get another. Mav gets his second, leaving Vale, the final defender, in a 1 versus 2. However, he has down Mav, and the second for Vale. OrgLess take the round. A 3-to-1 round count in their favor.
Yeah, FaZe is burning a lot of time at the moment to do the final push, and Ace is still a problem. He's always lurking around the classical hallway, and FaZe doesn't have an answer. The easy answer would be just put a guy to the window in a classical hallway, and you'd pretty much deny the roaming around that hallway.
You think it would be a Blackbeard, you put him on the window, and then it's just, bam, it's done?
It can be Blackbeard, or it can be pretty much any operator, because there's actually the balcony that you can stand on top, and what's the hallway? You don't even need to rappel in the window.
Right.
Or have someone with nades and just bounce it from the window corner. There's options.
Totally doable, yeah. I mean, you're right, though. FaZe does need to clamp down on Ace's roam. It has been very difficult for them to deal with over these last couple rounds. And OrgLess seem to be really enjoying Villa.
Yeah, it is a lot played map in EU, I would say. Yeah. A lot of teams like it because it's one of the maps that we finally have where you have the bomb side and outside, and between the bomb side and outside there is actually a room, so you never get run from the outside straight to the bomb side, so rushes are not working like in some maps like, let's say, Coastline, where you can sometimes just jump in from a window and plant instantly. So a lot of teams like that, the map, because of that.
Yeah. I'd say it's a really well-constructed map, and I think it's got a lot. It's going to have to take some time for people to figure it out fully, but for now it looks absolutely fantastic. And OrgLess, as you say, you know, the European team are really enjoying themselves here. FaZe, on the other hand, seem to be struggling just a little bit. It also could come down to, and this is very, very true, it could come down to, it's a new map. OrgLess is on defense. The new maps almost always lean towards the defenders because it takes time for you to actually like get into a match like this, experience it, and then go into the drawing board for attack and be like, okay, here's how we counter that. Here's how we fix that solution. But I think that's the bouncing back and forth, right? Is it starts with the defense. You get good at that, and then the bounce back to the attack, and then the bounce back to the defense, and then that's how it all goes, but it always starts for the defender.
Yeah, in this map, getting like 4-1 score as a defense is pretty standard. Then you go to attack, you take five rounds, it's your chance to attack, and you take the 5 rounds as a defender, or 4 rounds, and it's even. It's draw, and then you go to the OT, so it's pretty normal. Like in Coastline, it's the opposite. You rarely win defenses. You win maybe 1, maybe 2, but attackers have the upper hand at the moment. Yeah,
on Coastline, I'd say, yeah, definitely the attackers have the upper hand. We've seen matches, interestingly, that have been like super defense-sided on Coastline, but they're definitely oddities. So yeah, I'd say this is the Villa is right now kind of the opposite of Coastline if we're looking at it that way. Now, as you can see, OrgLess has a pretty decent setup to hold on to Master, but it looks like FaZe actually might be shifting their focus a little bit. They are still pushing in Master, but it's not as you know, everybody in Master as it had been in the past.
Yeah, we have Gohan droning out with the Twitch drone, the Master bedroom. We have Mav droning the toilet area, and then we have the Buck doing work downstairs. So it looks like they are still doing the Master push. They are still not willing to put any guys to the south side of the map to the Aviator and cut some rotations from there. So, yeah.
But at least they're adding in the dimension of the vertical play here with Cameraman. He hasn't had a whole lot of success doing this so far in the match. However, there's potential for that to change. You know, we could see, well, we've seen a lot of crazy things happen in Siege, even just today.
I personally feel like maybe in LATAM they actually don't use the impact trick that much because what FaZe is doing at the moment is they are trying to deny the bandit chuckle.
Which is,
but
I mean,
European teams don't even chuckle because they use the impacts to deny the open of the wall.
Well, OrgLess has been doing it a little bit. They are playing Bandit. They have been playing Bandit consistently. You can see the batteries are there. But you're right. There's always that backup of the impacts. Camera gets a grenade kill onto Veil. Gohan eliminating Corey. Gohan has just been fragging out so far this match. KS on these astronomy stairs. He's been playing this position consistently on sites like this, and he hasn't really been able to make it work for him. The C4 from Aces is already expended, so these marks are not going to really aid him too much here. Astro gets rips, and FaZe in a very, very decisive lead. 5-3, 16 seconds left. OrgLess holding on for dear life. If they could just have one player stay alive, they might be able to win it. And that's going to be the final player of Aces. But Astro will shut him down as he starts moving back to the site. Diffuser was likely being planted at the same time. A very decisive round in FaZe's favor.
Yeah, they didn't lose players, so finally a coordinated push. They took the downstairs and afterwards left that, had a team effort to the site, and they even hunted down the roamers in the end and had drones in place to deny the Aces roam from the main stairs.
So, tactical pause for FaZe. They did manage to win that round just now, but they lost the first half. And, as you touched on, it is a defensive-sided map. So it stands to reason that FaZe would lose the first half, considering that was OrgLess on defense. But at the same time, you want to be able to like clamp down on it and be sure you're going to get the winner in the long run. Yeah,
I would say that even more so for OrgLess because they are heavily executed based team.
Yes.
So defending is easy, but when you need to attack and you used to have that 5-man execute with a like really strict patterns for everyone. You throw smoke, I push with Ying, etc. But now there is no Hungry, there is no Para. So is the chemistry there?
Yeah, and Hungry and Para as individual players, I think they're the type of guys who are going to be able to really supplement your original strat idea. So if you're going for like a setup and execute properly, like, you know, with everything accounted for and everything working like a, you know, like a fine watch, that sort of way of playing can work for you well. However, if you go up against an opponent that just throws a monkey wrench in the gears and just runs at you and takes fights, that can completely disorient your whole strategy and your team as a result. And Hungry and Para were good at catching those things and stopping them cold in their tracks. Yeah. But now they're not here anymore.
And also LATAM is really good at
you read my mind.
Throwing those wrenches because they do weird stuff all the time. They might peek something that you never think. He's never going to peek me to this position. And they do it. Or they will never push me here. But LATAM does. So, yeah, it's going to be harder for OrgLess. But it's going to be the aviator room again, / pool table bar. So, the standard side, I would say. And there is the Echo with the shotgun again. I've been used to see Echo with MP5 all the time, but
you know, I'm honestly kind of struck on this one. A lot of teams have been running Echo shotgun with the Bearing 9, and personally, you know, I see that and I think to myself, you're just losing so much engagement potential. There's so many shotguns. There's more shotguns than there's ever been. But you know, you also have the Mira ban, so I guess to an extent it makes sense. I just think, you know, there's got to be a better way. You know, the MP5 is so very useful for those long angle fights. Now, to be fair, this isn't exactly the longest angle map in the game. You know, there are some engagements that are at pretty decent distances, but it's not like Bank. It's not like Consulate even. You know, it's different. It's a little bit more CQC.
But also Echo used to be the only operator with ACOGs at the moment.
True.
Defenders, because no one really played that much Doc or Rook. But now, because Maestro is in the play and he's LMG, that kind of covers the ACOG spot for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and you know, having that shotgun on the Echo does mean that Moringa does not have to put too much pressure on himself individually for site construction. So a little bit of sharing the burden. And it's likely that it will help FaZe in the long run. They have more ACOGs, they have more shotguns in general as of this last DLC.
So here we have a Blackbird exactly on the classical hallway window that we were talking earlier. So he is controlling that hallway that no one is playing there. And this is pretty crucial for the push because a lot of times if you have a player there, like we saw Aces there, he's going to be a pain because he can rotate to either of the sides and have those long angles. But now Blackbird is going to deny it. And when the push comes, the Blackbird only needs to grapple in and he's right there on the fight.
Astro, nice headshot onto Aces. So the Dokkaebi gone before even a single phone call can be utilized. Nor smokes as well. I mean, getting rid of them so fast into the round. I mean, we're at halfway mark. That's got to hurt OrgLess on this take. They still have that Blackbeard denying the hallway. And, you know, interestingly, it's like OrgLess is playing to counter themselves. But that's a lot of utility they've still lost. You can see they're going to be going for the Thermite, so we'll find out for sure if the impact trick is something FaZe chooses to use or not. Cameraman gets Corey, Veil onto Astro, so a bit of a back and forth here, but FaZe still on top. Here comes that Thermite charge to counter the impact trick. They're going to put it on the floor, as you discussed earlier, but that does mean that you don't have the biggest hole to work with when you're going for your actual push. As you can see, it's not ideal. However, it is still a hole and can force the defenders out of their perfect positions. Well, still though, OrgLess at a disadvantage. They do have time on their side, and they are going to be able to extend their hole with those Excaros.
Yeah, that's the way to do the first breach and then do more with the Hibana. Now they have a vault hole.
Long range fight. Veil wins it with a Bearing 9 reflex against Gohan using an ACOG LMG. Mav able to respond quickly though onto Veil as he vaults in. Moringa with a TK on a cameraman using those gas canisters. Rips gets Mav and it's just Moringa. This looks like a FaZe round. 7 seconds left though and Moringa's gonna have to clutch following a TK. Gas canister perfectly placed to deny Rips the defuse plant and he will win on time. What a play from the smoke, allowing FaZe to get the first round of the second half.
Yeah, really nicely played from the smoke, and I bet they had the echo drone on the roof telling where the plant is going on. They didn't ping it at all, they just told him. Smoke goes in and he wins the round. He doesn't even peek the study that many smokes would have peeked, but he just waited. He knew he's gonna kill that planter.
Moringa, a really smart player, and doing it right there in that situation.
Also, what we talked earlier about the OrgLess executes, I think there was issues with that because there was a long time when Thermite and Thatcher were at the study balcony, and they were just looking. They weren't droning. There was no drones driving around study. There was no drones on the classical hallway. They were just standing. So there was clearly no plan at the time. They were just waiting to get the plan, probably from the whale, to actually do what are we doing now.
Do you think they were maybe anticipating the aggression from FaZe, which did not actually transpire?
Yeah, possibly, because they were holding angles, but no one was speaking.
Yeah. So FaZe reading into the expectations of their opponent and, well, going a step further, playing it the safe game. Or could just be happenstance. Could just be that OrgLess, as you say, didn't have a strategy, didn't know what they needed to do, weren't taking into account potential aggression from FaZe, and FaZe was just chilling. They were waiting for the round to transpire, as defenders do.
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's the first match, first defensive round for FaZe, so they do want to feel out how is OrgLess going to do this. So you don't want to be too aggressive at the first rounds because you don't exactly know what the enemy is going to do.
Absolutely right. Now, 3-3. FaZe has managed to claw their way back. Now I say that, and of course we have to factor in a defense-sided map for sure.
Yeah.
Cameraman clearly aware of the impact grenade trick, so if OrgLess chooses to you know, try and Thermite on the wall, it obviously will not work.
Yeah, they are waiting for the smoke to do the holes for the impacts, but we played against OrgLess 2 matches on the DreamHack Valencia, and they never pushed from the master bedroom, or maybe once, but they always did from the south to north. So that's what they are doing right there again, so you don't need to worry about the wall and the impact trick because you're actually pushing from the other side of the building.
And you can see that their opponents' FaZe are actually very likely aware of this. They've set themselves up pretty heavily facing towards the south. They aren't roaming south, which is interesting to me. I imagine if they're conscious of this play from OrgLess, then they would roam a little bit south. But no, just waiting for the push to come. I guess it kind of makes sense. You know, if you're roaming far south side, it's so easy for the attackers to cut you off in the main hallway. Like, it's easy access. You could come in through that window next to the stairs in the middle floor, and immediately you're cutting off that rotation.
Yeah, but also, because it's quite a big map, the attackers have to spend a lot of time to drone out the south, study, aviator, etc. So you don't really want to be there in the beginning. You want to late roam.
Yeah.
So you wait for the 1 minute 30 seconds, and then you go from the basement all the way to the south side, and then flank them.
And then you don't have to worry about the roam hunters, and at the same time, you allow for the map to naturally save you some time. Well, at least waste some time for your opponents.
Exactly.
Speaking of, we've seen 2 minutes already, and finally OrgLess, I believe, have the control that they want to go for this push. FaZe, on the other hand, just holding on. Still a 5 versus 5, so it's going to come down to that slugfest, that brawl we always talk about. Aces will get cameraman, so good start here for OrgLess. Dokkaebi still in the game, and that's the most important thing, as last time Aces got dispatched really early on. Corey playing the long angle to the B site. He's looking for a potential fight, but FaZe not going to give him one. This is the patient FaZe that we talked about earlier. Just waiting for the push from OrgLess, not getting ahead of themselves.
And this is what OrgLess used to be so good at, the late execute. They were preparing it for so long, and Corey takes out Destro.
A narrowly missed shot there from Rips. Corey will, I think, get another one, a down onto Gohan. OrgLess in a very good lead right now, and Rips will get Mav as Moringa respawns onto Vale, and a second down for Moringa, but Corey able to finish things off, and OrgLess will take another round. 4-3 their favor.
Yeah, it wasn't that explosive execute that we have been used to see from OrgLess. It was just getting picks one by one. So FaZe peeking a bit too much and not having those refrags that you normally see from the defensive side. So maybe just have more crossfires to hold and wait for the OrgLess to push.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. It really just comes down to the crossfires. I mean, as you know, crossfires are one of the most powerful things to establish, and if you can in any way, you should. But after OrgLess pushed in through the south side, FaZe got distracted. They rotated and shifted their entire defense to address that south side, and then what happened? Thermite opened up the master wall, and then it was a simple case of establishing a crossfire onto the anchors, forcing them to not to either prone or crouch to avoid that long angle from master, and then push into the site. I mean, and tear apart the defenders as you go.
Yeah.
The last defender was the smoke in astronomy, because that was the only thing left out of the crossfire.
Yeah, and he even rotated there, because first in the astronomy there was Valkyrie, but he peeked to the toilet and died for that. I think you want to hold the astronomy as long as you can, because you can have the middle reinforcement wall reinforced, and you peek from the both sides. You can peek to the B bomb side from the right side, and to the A bomb side, or the statue, or the breach from the right side.
You open up the middle wall as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get perfect position. No, I absolutely agree. And it just seemed like maybe that push in through the bathroom from the Valkyrie, ill-advised. Maybe if that hadn't happened, the smoke and Valkyrie combo could have potentially held out the round. But that's all hypothetical. It's already happened now, and OrgLess are the ones who are in the lead. They will have to attack onto Trophy yet again, though, and I don't think FaZe is going to let OrgLess have too easy of a time this go-around.
Yeah, now this time they actually have 4 pieces of the impact grenades, so they will try to deny that wall super hard this round.
Yeah, they're not going to let the Thermite open it up. I can all but guarantee that in the team comms, someone said something about, hey guys, how did we let them Thermite the master wall? And that's why they're now, having all these impacts on defense.
Yeah. This is actually weird. They are not really playing the gap in position. They don't have any holes in there, because that's really powerful position towards the master bedroom, because you can make punch holes or whatever to the cabinet, and you are a pretty small target in there, but you can see all the guys, the doorway to the master bedroom from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe something that they'll explore later. But interestingly, we have Corey on the Blackbeard from OrgLess in the hallway. He will be trying to deny those roamers, but this time denying the roamers on a different site. So same position, just, you know, different potential of roam. He's already got the control over L. It's a very powerful position to hold. And meanwhile, that his teammates are pushing it a little bit more aggressively than they had in the past. OrgLess has realized that FaZe doesn't like to roam south, and they are getting much more efficient with it. Hopefully they don't overlook anything, but for now it doesn't seem like they are, and they have managed to get the control over these roam, or potential roam sites over on the south side.
Yeah, and we still have the Termite near the bathroom area on the master bedroom, so he will try to open the wall again. And we already have 3 people to push from these holes, so it's going to be a two-way push.
You see, it's pretty much the same strategy as what OrgLess gave us in the previous round, and Rips is going to open up that castle barricade, allowing the Dokkaebi to start applying pressure to any potential denial of the thermite charge. So that's the next objective for OrgLess. Get the master wall thermited open. And if they can do that, they give themselves, again, that crazy powerful crossfire. However, FaZe has stacked up a lot of impacts to deny it, and an Evil Eye to boot in the master bedroom just for that anti-thermite. The proper setup here, and that's actually going to, it looks like, prompt KS to come off of the master push, and Aces will be the one to fill that gap, it looks like, and he's going to play it just raw, no thermite needed. I'm not sure where they're going to try and move the thermite charges. There's only 30 seconds left.
I actually think it's just going to be a 4-man push from the doorways and the flank from the ACs from the master bedroom.
Well, here it comes. Corey eliminated. KS, the immediate refrag onto Mav. A second for KS, but Gohan shuts him down, and a second for him. Aces gets Moringa and Vale onto Astro. We still have a player in the B site. Gohan, what are you doing? And Aces will shut him down after Gohan finally gets Vale. So, a nice try from FaZe, but ultimately not enough control maintained in the core positions. And, does it come back to Astronomy?
Exactly. They are, again, failing to hold the Astronomy, because if you have the Astronomy, the enemy team cannot push to the B side. It's to the trophy room. It's impossible, because you have all those angles to the doorway. Also, Aces coming from the master bedroom all the way to the toilet, and then to the Astronomy. He's just doing the flank, killing 2 guys, while the other team pushes to from the trophy door. It's all about the Astronomy at the moment.
You know, the one thing that really puzzles me is it seems like FaZe is avoiding Astronomy like the plague, despite it being such a powerful position. And it could be because they're worried about pressure from the bathroom. So what's the solution there? Well, maybe ring a castle barricade. They have a castle. They've been using the castle. Just put one there on the doorway to bathroom from Astronomy, and then you don't have to worry about sideways pressure. You can focus intently on holding the site, which you know the attackers are going to be pushing from the south. Why not? And sure, castle barricade could be broken easily.
Yeah.
Why not? But there's such a light feather touch on the master bedroom right now from OrgLess. Their main focus is just south, so it's probably not going to be broken. You could probably not worry about it.
Yeah, Sophia was on the other side of the map, so he's not there to destroy it. They can destroy it with the thermite charge, but when the thermite puts a charge, you can shoot his feet. So they can do it. They also had the castle in the lineup, so they could have done it.
Yeah.
One way to do it is with wall cams, evil eyes, echo cams. You just need some eyes, because you will have dead players to watch those. So you can play from the Astronomy, what's the B, A bomb side, both, and then once your teammates call that there's actually someone at the toilet area, you just peek that guy from the toilet.
Now I'm looking at this match and I'm thinking to myself, FaZe maybe haven't looked at Villa well enough, and I think that's something they're going to have to come back to. Though, we have to be honest, it's a new map. It's forgivable to not have a deep understanding of this map at this point. And it takes a lot of time, especially in Siege, to develop a proper strategy here. So, props to OrgLess for having that ready, and something that FaZe, I'm sure, will look at later.
Yeah, I understand why FaZe let it through, because they have 75% round win rate in this and 100% map win rate in this, whereas OrgLess has 54.3% win rate for the rounds and 66% win rate for the map, so they have better stats for the map. So why not?
Yeah, but at the same time, it comes down to being the most well-versed. Now, we can't count FaZe out yet. They're still in a position where they could easily recover, as I'm sure you all know. But they're going to have to win 2 rounds in a row to bring us to overtime, and then 2 more rounds after that to win in overtime. So, OrgLess just need to clamp down and get that execute proper on this aviation site. They are coming from the north side. This is a little bit different. So, it's a lot of bottlenecks. It's a little bit of a worry, right?
I would say this is a normal EU push. A lot of teams came from that side. They usually run that with a Montaigne, because with Montaigne you have a moving drone pretty much.
All right.
So you come to this wall, open up the wall like they are doing right now. You get straight line of sight to the armory and a walkway to the both bomb sites. And once you have opened that, you leave a couple to 3 guys. What's that? And rotate 2 guys to the study balcony and then do the push.
So a little bit different than what we've been seeing from FaZe, but normal for what OrgLess is used to. And that seems to be what's been working out very well for OrgLess, playing that standard EU meta, would you call it?
Yeah, I would say EU meta in this map. But it looked like that FaZe actually denied the open. Oh, now it's open, but it looked like for a long time that they couldn't open it because they were throwing the impact grenades through the drone hole to deny the Hibana charges on the wall.
There was also the Evil Eye calling that out, and eventually the Evil Eye was, I believe, used to also deny that. Now, the big thing here, the headline, if you will, is that OrgLess has just spent pretty much the entire round. They only have 30 seconds to make this work now, and as Astro gets aces, it's looking worse and worse for the attackers. Vale will get mad, but he loses a lot of HP. Gohan responding onto Rips almost immediately. KS trying to get the angle onto Jaeger, but will miss some really important shots. And now with only 15 seconds left, OrgLess is going to have to push the site with no real hard destruction available to them. Gohan gets Corey, Astro gets Vale. KS immediately into the site, will get one, but is shut down. So the Hibana holes that were opened up into the vault were actually unsuccessful because there was a line in the middle.
Yeah.
You can sometimes finagle your way through that, but it's a lot more difficult than just, hey, a crouch hole.
Yeah, and that comes down to why teams used to play that with Montaigne, because when you come in with the Montaigne, you don't really need to care if people see you, because you can just block everything with your shield. But now when you don't have it, you actually need to use your body, and the enemy team can just shoot you down. So, yeah, maybe you need the Montaigne to do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think bringing a Montaigne could have been really useful. I mean, even a Blitz, you know, something that could just have that pure pushing power that cannot be stopped. And I got your Savant. Montaigne being brought out from OrgLess. Now, it's a different site now, this time. Of course, because FaZe was successful, they will be moving over to Trophy. And a 6-pick off the Hibana. I believe OrgLess is definitely aware of this, because the way that they like to have IQ, they have been using IQ, is what I'm trying to say, on their master takes previously. They used Vale to flank watch, or not flank watch. So remember when we talked about cutting off rotation from potential south roamers on this site? He's been doing that from the master balcony through the window. So he's not cutting off the full rotation, but he's cutting off half of it.
Yeah.
And that could be really useful if there are south roamers for
Exactly. For this bomb site, the study, trophy room statue, teams usually use the Montaigne to actually take the astronomy control, because when you have the Montaigne pushing from the toilet, you can't really do much about it. And you can just go into the Astro door, give all the info your teammates need behind you. There's one behind the desk, one behind the black box, one on the door, or one on the stairs. You can keep relay all that information to the guys with guns behind you, and then you lower your shield or step to the side, and the guys come in. Usually with Sophia launcher, they have the Sophia, so you can stun the guys and then push in with the Montaigne and the guns.
It's almost like OrgLess heard us. It's like saying, well, yeah, put a little bit more emphasis on the astronomy phase, and, you know, don't worry about bathroom, because your opponents haven't been really pushing bathroom. And maybe OrgLess is trying to play into that, expecting the rotation from FaZe, and now trying to directly counter it. It could be some many other things, though. Montaigne is useful in a lot of takes onto this site, I would say. As long as you stick him through a doorway where he can gather information and relay that to his teams in a efficient manner, I think Montaigne can help you.
Yeah, they are using the Montaigne to take the south control, so they are using him as a mobile drone at the moment. So he's just looking everything, droning everything out. Personally, I don't like these calls that you call in advance. and because you're pretty much wasting that call, you want to have them in the push. You have the drones, you have the Montane. Just don't be lazy with the droning, so you don't need to use the calls. Drone
a little bit first, then figure out what you want to do based on what your opponents are doing. Absolutely, it's one of the more dynamic ways to play. But OrgLess have been making their current strategies work for them pretty well. We got to be honest.
Yep.
Mav going down below, he's going to want to use his C4 combined with his cameras to get a potential kill underneath. And he is just underneath the Montane. Ooh, bad timing from Mav. Unfortunate miscall there from his teammates. And a wasted C4. That could have been the salvage of the round. And it's still a 5 versus 5, but OrgLess have exacted the control that they need, and they have the perfect operators to go for this final push.
That looks scary because Mav actually rotated back to the side where I said I think he should have rotated all the way to the Aviator and flanked from there. So I just think he was a bit scared. But there is Whale, of course, holding the flank, but I would still say it is possible to do it. If you time it right.
Yeah, you just have to either time it right or confront him directly, and then it comes down to a 1v1. You could outskill him, who knows. Ace is going to be stacking himself up on that B doorway. You could see OrgLess, they have the positions like we've been talking about, but they're just waiting for their opportune moment. Gohan getting close to the doorway. Mav inside a Master gets KS. The solo Thermite, no one to back him up, nobody to refrag, and now Mav has the crossfire in his favor. He will lose it though, as he gets peeked on by Aces. Corey also gets Gohan, that's the shield putting in some work. He's on very little HP though, and he's gonna have to pull a Legion out of his foot. Full HP on the FaZe remaining 3 defenders. Astro will get Veil as well, and the Montane has been downed. Rips though gets Moringa as cameraman finishes him off, and it's all Astro at the end there. We will go to overtime, 5-5.
And this time FaZe didn't let the toilet area for free. Valkyrie was there to kill the Termite before he can open the wall. He challenged that. So if you don't want to play the Astronomy, that's one way to do it. Usually you need 2 players to do it safely, but they did it in anyway, and they finally won that.
Yeah, I have to say though, if it weren't for that push from Mav from Master, then it would have been an OrgLess round, I want to say. I mean, even though Mav didn't do any work after he got Master control, he denied the crossfire from Master in the first place, and that is huge. I have to attribute that a little bit, though, to OrgLess's, them choosing to just put 1 player in Master. I just can't get behind that decision. I understand that they want to do a 4-man push from the hallway, and I get it, 2 on each door, and hold for the the pushback. But and you need those guns. I understand, but I gotta imagine if you have 1 extra person in Master, Mav gets refragged, and the crossfire's still there.
Exactly. Or neither would have been killed, and the Termite would have been able to open the wall.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're holding the bathroom in the first place. Yeah, well, I mean, hindsight 2020, a little bit of an oversight from OrgLess. Something they've been doing a lot of, though, and good on Mav and FaZe as a whole to read it and play around it.
And now, as we are in OT, it's FaZe's map to win, because they will get the 2 defensive rounds, whereas OrgLess only gets defense once. So it's all on FaZe.
So 5-5 overtime. This is a very difficult position to be in. One thing that I find really interesting is that FaZe has chosen to go to Trophy as their first defensive site. I would have imagined they would want to go to Aviation instead. It was, of course, the first site that that OrgLess went to. It was the first site that FaZe went to, but they're sticking it out here with Trophy, despite it being the site that they've lost twice now.
I would say it comes down to the mind games, because they saw OrgLess has different operators for the statue trophy room push and different operators for the Aviator push. So when you pick the worst side, that you have lesser win rate, you're actually just mind gaming your opponent to pick the operators that they need certain operators to do it, and now they don't have it. There's the Blackbird to hold down the classical hallway window, but you are not in the Aviator, so the Blackbird is kind of, well, not useless, but doesn't have that high impact that he would have on the classical hallway window. He can still play the Astronomy window, which is also a really powerful location to put the Blackbird on.
but it's not as powerful as cutting off like a full rotation. I mean, when OrgLess was attacking, when they had the Blackbeard last time they were attacking onto Trophy, they did put him on the hallway window, but I mean, they haven't done it now. They've just completely cleared out the L hallway, and they established there are no roamers, and they're making their push. Speaking of Blackbeard, Corey already taking half of his health and HP. That does not bode well for OrgLess. I do like that they're stacking up 2 people, looks like, on Master this time. They might actually be, you know, committing themselves a little bit more to this push. You know, if you're going to do it, really do it. And we'll see if that works out for them.
So, yeah, it looks like they're going to do what you said, that there's going to be the 3 people on the south side and 2 people come from the Mastery this time. However, it's going to be Blackbeard that has already lost half of his HP, and there's the Evil Eye still watching. They had to bring the Sophia from the south side to destroy the cam, so that's going to eat up time, and he's not even going to bother to rotate back there. So they had to change their plans because of that. Yeah, with 1 minute left, you might as well just stick it out and go for the push. But that does put a lot of pressure onto your south side hallway attackers, meaning that they're going to have to be a little bit more ferocious. There's also still the impacts in play that will likely be used here from Cameraman. You can see the Thermites trying to bait it out, but Cameron knows he doesn't need to use an impact until the detonation happens. And there it is, the detonation from the Thermite charge. And with 35 seconds left, Cameraman able to stall out and also get a kill onto Vale. So much work from this castle, and he hits the second impact. Astro also takes out Rips. FaZe is on fire right now. The teamwork, the frags, they're all working out. Aces narrowly misses a few shots and has to go for a follow-up to eliminate Mav, though good job for him sneaking up behind his opponent. KS will get 1 and a second for KS. There's only 7 seconds left, though. The defuse plant has to happen, and Cameraman says, no, you cannot plant in my sight. FaZe lock it out, and they will take the first round overtime. What a huge round from Cameraman, getting 2 kills. 2 denials for the Thermite charges. Exceptional work from Cameraman. He's proving to be really good with those impact grenades. He was even stunned for the second one. Yeah, it wasn't even just the impacts. It was the impacts and the kills. He was not only holding on to the Thermite wall, he was also killing the people pushing him simultaneously by himself. There was no information being called, oh, hey, they're pushing you right now. There was no, there's no player supporting him by holding that doorway, allowing him to impact the Thermite charges. It was just him knowing what's going to happen and playing into it perfectly. Yeah, but to be honest, when you are at that position, there's only 2 locations you are getting pushed when you do that impact trick. Fair. One was on the trophy door, one was on the mastery door. Usually you have the guy from B watching the mastery door, so you only need to watch the statue door. So that's the thing you need to do. Just keep your crosshair there. Once you hear the Thermite, throw the impact and keep your crosshair back to the door. It's still impressive. It is. You know, you're so exposed. It's such a hard thing to hold. So we do have a tactical pause going on right now. We'll be getting back into it shortly. And I think this is a good opportunity to go for a tactical pause, considering they just lost the first, or OrgLess, of course, just lost the first round of overtime. And this is still just the first map. Can you believe that? We have potentially 2 more maps that we could be playing today. Yeah, this has been maybe the closest game today so far. It's pretty high up there, yeah. And both teams are really vying to be that, that squad to pull apart. You know, this is just crazy to me because OrgLess, again, they just so recently saw those 2 roster changes. You don't expect them to go toe-to-toe necessarily with FaZe in this match. Yeah, but what OrgLess used to do was the Ying glass push. They haven't done it at all. So, well, glass is banned, of course. That denies it, but you could still use the Ying that they used to run all the time. They're not doing it now. Well, it kind of got to the point where everyone knew what they're going to do, so at some point you need to change it. But also, maybe that was what FaZe was waiting for, and it didn't happen, so that might have gotten them off guard a bit. You think that FaZe is anticipating the Ying, and since there's no Hungry, there's no Ying, and since it was a little bit of a different strategy? Yeah, and, well, our matches from DreamHack didn't get streamed against OrgLess, but they actually didn't run Ying class in their eaters. Really? It's not kind of new to me, but it might be new to many other teams. Good inside information there. So OrgLess trying to reinvent themselves. So apparently because of this,
maybe the roster changes weren't as directly influencing or weren't as directly influential to the actual team. But regardless, they have been going toe-to-toe with FaZe, and it's been an interesting couple rounds we've been seeing so far. And now, OrgLess is going back onto defense for the first time in a long time, of course, the first time in 6 rounds. And this could be... That's the thing, is like when you have such a big space between your last defense and your current defense, things could change really drastically from what you know about your opponent's defense. So last time OrgLess went to Aviation, they were successful. They really did enjoy this site. Will they continue to be successful is the question.
Yeah, OrgLess is still doing exactly the same thing. This time they have a Chaos on the classical hallway and not Aces. Aces is probably actually doing the juggling job with the Bandit, but they are holding the classical hallway. If FaZe finally takes control over the classical hallway, I think the round is going to be theirs, because that was the one key point that OrgLess always pulled that round for themselves.
Well, they're going to have to go through fields of barbed wire in order to get that done. They will get a yokai drone for free.
That was wasted.
Yeah, thank you, says cameraman, as the yokai drone drives right into him. A little bit of a mistake there from Corey. Half the round, though, transpired, and still control over that classical hallway for OrgLess, and KS is going to turn it into a kill. Aces will also get Astro. So a lot of teamwork here with these 2 German defensive operators. You can see KS just waiting, holding on. That's all he really needs to do. This is the perfect position to deny the push into the west hallway and thus deny any pressure onto the flanks of his teammates.
Yeah. What FaZe should have been done is to push from the north side, from the master bedroom, to take control of the classical hallway, and then push from the south side, like OrgLess did. But they are still sticking to their old push that they have been doing over and over again. It worked once, but it has already failed twice, so why try it again?
Well, the ability to adapt in the middle of the match is one of the most coveted traits in any team, but it's not seemingly working out so far for FaZe. It took them a while on defense with Trophy, and it's just not happening yet on attack of Aviation. But they can still win this round. It's a 3 versus 5, 35 seconds left, so it's favored heavily for OrgLess. Anything is possible, though, and we'll see them go for their push. Shortly, I'm sure, they have to go at some point. Rips is getting aggressive onto the hallway. Gohan's going to get aces, so one of the top performers for OrgLess just taken care of very easily. KS inside of Classical is looking for the peak, but the pre-fires are coming from FaZe, and Gohan will respond as KS gets cameraman, but it's just complete back and forth, and the round is over. OrgLess will win it on time and positioning.
It's again the same position at the classical hallway. This time KS, he's just holding that hallway. FaZe wants to push that hallway, but you cannot do it. There's 3 pairs of barbed wire there. You haven't destroyed those. There's a guy at the classical hallway. The only thing he needs to do is listen when you walk to the barbed wire and then peek.
So this is the big thing. We are now going on to the final round of overtime. And where are we? Aviation Games Room. And nobody has lost this yet in terms of defense. Everybody's been winning Aviation. Both teams very comfortable here. So if what we've seen throughout this entire map is prevalent at all in this round, then it's going to be FaZe taking the map in OT.
Yeah,
by virtue of the corn flipped.
Exactly, like I said during when they went to the OT, that FaZe is the one who's going to get the 2 defense, and now they are in the Aviator room, so it's theirs to take. And OrgLess really needs to work to get this. And
conversely, it's theirs to lose as well. Yeah. If this round does go in the favor of OrgLess, it will very likely be because FaZe messed something up.
Yeah. OrgLess is going to bring the Hibana and Termite to try out to destroy the reinforced wall on the study room, because that's a key point for this defense. If that wall gets taken down, attackers have so many line of sights to the bomb sites, especially on the A bomb side most of the time, but sometimes even to the B bomb side. So you really want to keep that wall intact. But if there is the Hibana and the Termite, it's pretty much harder, because you're gonna just Hibana the bottom half of the wall.
I don't know how you feel about this, Wookie, but to me, I see the study take happen quite a lot, and I honestly feel like it's just a bit of a distraction. Study is kind of this center of chaos, and it could work for you, it could work against you, and it sometimes can be really good to open up certain parts of that study wall. Like, for example, thermiting the floor next to the bar, that could be huge because it can put a little bit of pressure on the defenders. But, like, just going for a full committed study take, I don't know. Especially if there's a Mira. There isn't here, but especially if there's a Mira, it just kind of is... It's a bit of a distraction. I think there are better ways to take this thing.
Yeah, especially I think the master take is better. You take the master control, then the trophy control, Tattoo's control. Will have the half of the map under your control from the top floor at that point. Then you only need to hold the stairs, put claymores to aviate the stairs, etc., and then push to the side while you have, like the Hibana, alone on the study room or near the study room. And once the push starts, he's actually going to open the wall. So that's going to be a distraction to the defenders, and he can push either to the classical hallway or through the study to the B door. And it's harder when there is a lot of things going on for the defenders.
You also have, you have smokes, you have those lifelines, and you have that giant vault door that is so much cover for you to plant behind. Now, of course, there's, you have to take into account the gas canisters, the yokai drones, the Maestro Evil Eyes, etc. But at the same time, it's giving you better odds than just the study push. Now, all that theorizing done, we are getting into the round finally. FaZe are very heavily invested in just a anchor game. They aren't roaming very much. I want to say they probably do have a roamer or two, but not really seeing where they might be. Right now, it looks like it's just a heavy stack on the site. In fact, yes, all 5 defenders on the site for FaZe.
This has been the thing throughout the match. Map tried to roam a couple things, and Aces gets a nice shot from the Astro through the stairs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the roamers already shut down in the late. You were talking about it earlier, how those late roamers can be really good, but just having them pre-established can be a bit of a struggle. However, bad timing there from Astro, and now OrgLess have maybe found the thread that they need to pull in order to give themselves the victory here on this first map of the series. The Excaros stopped by the impact grenades, and the follow-up Excaros will likely as well be stopped, depending on where they're placed. The bottom ones have detonated, but these middle ones look like they're not going to be traversable in all likelihood. So, unfortunate there for OrgLess, but at least they give themselves line of sight. Final 30 seconds. Moringa's still alive.
It's all about the execution now. Yeah. Is the OrgLess ready to do it with the old 5-man execute that they were so good at?
They've got to fight against those yokai drones. One has been eliminated. The gas canisters are still in hand for the smokes. Smokes themselves coming out from Aces as he starts to push in through the hallway. 11 seconds left. Cameraman will get Corey on the ingress. Kohan spraying through the smoke, looking for a fight. Vale and Aces get one for themselves. Moringa gets Vale, though. From behind, Aces gets control over Gun Vault. Moringa, the final defender, but he can stop the defuse plate, and he does! FaZe take the first map, thanks to time management.
What? Again with the smoke? That's insane what he pulls off. Aces was there. He did the perfect flank again. He got the Maestro, then he got the Legion. He had the angle to the wall, but I bet he looked to the wrong direction at that point.
Whatever the case be, a huge play from Moringa at the end there. And 20 kills for Gohan and Aces